Well, we got some people joining us. So, Ashley, Rachel, Miss Elizabeth, how we doing?
Hi.
All right. Okay. Well, let's get this show on the road, guys. So here's what we're gonna do. I have the distinct pleasure of introducing a good friend and business partner. We've worked together on several deals, and to dangle a little bit of a carrot, maybe possibly in the future, there might be a collaboration between myself and Miss Jamie Proper, who is the owner operator of Proper Negotiations. So Jamie, as I mentioned in before, master negotiator. She is a real estate coach. She's been an agent. Jamie, how long have you been an agent for?
I've been an agent for a little over 12 years.
Okay, awesome.
Yep.
And when you started, did you start operation side and then to an agent? Did you start as an agent? And like, how did you kind of get involved in more of the TC operations, coaching, negotiation side?
So I started actually as an ISA. So I started just like cold calling and like hitting the phones. And then I transitioned into agent transaction coordinator. And now I'm just like a little bit of everything. I'm like a
Yeah.
TC on steroids.
I like that. All right, awesome.
Yeah.
As you may or may not know, we kind of talked about this before, but the whole purpose for Monday Market Meetup is we want to be able to just do kind of some quick hitters for agents in and around the area that are able to be able to see this, that we can add value to them, give them some good ideas of some things that are working, maybe some things that aren't working, just give them a little bit of like behind the curtain look, if you will, on successful things, people in real estate, and also tools that they might need. So ironically enough, I think that you might be able to cover all of that. So I would love to just kind of open the floor. Obviously, we had a chat previous to this where it's like, hey, listen, like we want to just talk about how to win more deals in 2026. So that's where I'm gonna leave it up to you, and then I might hop in with some questions or some feedback or something like that. But if you could kind of start off a little bit about just maybe high leveling what it is that you do, and then go into some of the things that you're seeing for not only yourself but your clients that you work for and with on the real estate side to be more successful in 2026.
Yeah, for sure. So, like Brian said, I have been in the business for a little over 12 years. So, my focus in all areas of my business is just communication and high level negotiations, which in theory are just one and the same, right? So, who plans to close more deals this year than last? Raise your hand.
My hands raised.
Or
Here's up.
your fake hands, whatever they are. Okay, cool. So
Virtual
we're,
hands.
yes, that's what I was trying to come up with. So we're already seeing multiple offers, guys, and it is the middle of January. So it's only going to get more competitive as the spring market continues to evolve. So how are we going to win more offers? How do we make sure that we are in front of it? How do we make sure that our clients trust us? I'm going to give you guys some very, very unpopular advice. So, those agents that we work with, like the annoying agents, the know-it-all agents, the lazy agents, like 90% of the people that we work with, right? That's the industry that we're in. We have to make friends with them. So if we can make friends with these annoying, lazy, egotistical agents that we work with 90% of the time, it is going to give us a leg up when it comes to negotiations and communications. So, guys, I have this conversation with new agents, seasoned agents all the time. And every single time I say it, they roll their eyes at me and they tell me that there's not enough time in the day. They don't have time to do this. We have to call listing agents before every single showing. We have to make a 60-second phone call to the listing agent before every single showing because I don't know about you guys, but there's very few things that make me feel dumber in this business than when I'm actively out showing clients and they fall in love with a house and then I call the listing agent and the listing agent says, "Oh shoot, we just accepted an offer. Oh shoot, we've been under contract for 5 days. We didn't mark it in the MLS." Because again, we know that agents are sales brain. So a lot of times they are not crossing the T's, dotting the I's. So nothing makes us look sillier or less professional to our clients, even if it's not our fault because it wasn't marked in the MLS. if we're showing people houses, letting them fall in love with the house, and then we find out that it's not available. So I completely understand. Calling five, six, seven agents, depending on how many showings you have that day, can seem tedious. It can seem like, okay, do I really want to do this? Do I really have time for this? I promise that those 60-second phone calls feel much better than spending 30, 60, 90 minutes at a showing and then disappointing your buyer. So call the listing agents before you go show the houses. And when we call them, we have to be pleasant. I don't care how dry they are, how rude they are. Believe me, I get it. I talk to hundreds of agents every single week. And again, 90% of the time, like, can I say asshole on here? They're just assholes.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
100%. Free reign.
90% of the time, they're just assholes, right? Like I'm calling and I'm like, hey, how's your day going? Blah, 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 blah. I obviously try to keep it quick because I know that we're all very busy, but I call and I ask, hey, do you have offers? What's going on with it? Is it still available? And I get it. A lot of times they're not the nicest people in the world. We have to make the phone calls. If they don't answer the phone, obviously we can shoot them a text, but we need to be doing everything we possibly can to touch base with these agents prior to showing the house.
So let me ask you a question really quickly because as a lender, it's my best practice, and I wish honestly it was more. And I know some good loan officers do, but every time one of my mutual clients with a realtor like puts in an offer, I make a phone call once that happens, and I get almost like I'll say it's probably 8 to 10% that are pretty receptive, that are thankful that I'm doing it, that are like, hey, you kind of beat me to it or whatever. But
Mhm.
then like 90% of them either don't answer, don't respond, or they just assume that like I'm like, hey, I'm Ryan with Premier Home Finance. How are you today? And then they're like, oh, just another lender trying to call me for business. I'm like, no, I'm trying to actually be on your team, man. So like my question is, when you're making that initial call prior to the showing, and let's say you get a deal locked up with that agent, what would be a good idea or a good way, or how have you tried to be able to manage and negotiate maybe that agent who's a little bit on the colder side, who is not as receptive to communication, just wants to go and do the bare minimum, because realistically, buyer's agent, listing agent, lender, all on the same team. Legitimately, we should be a team. We have the same goal. How do
Right?
you how would you coach agents to be able to like to do that? How would you say we break that barrier for those agents who are a little bit colder?
Just kill them with kindness.
Mm,
People can't stand it when they're cold and they want to be dicks and you don't let them bother you, right? I mean, honestly.
fair.
So I don't change anything. It doesn't matter who I'm talking to. I can be talking to the most bubbly person in the world or the rudest person in the world, and I'm still myself. I'm still energetic. I'm still asking all of the questions. Of course,
Mm,
again, is it hard sometimes because they're rude? Yeah, but like I, no matter who I'm talking to, obviously sometimes I can take it down a little bit, but no
sure.
matter who I'm talking to, I'm killing them with kindness, right?
Okay.
Because people can only stay angry so long. And most of the time they're angry for no reason. They're just angry because they had to pick up their phone at 11 a.m. and they don't have a real job, right?
Yeah.
So I just kill them with kindness.
Fair enough.
Um, so on top of reaching out to the listing agent before we go, guys, we need to do, I'm not telling you to like do entire CMAs and like all of the things before you go show a house. However, you need to do a little bit of homework. Again, we need to put in a little bit of work on the front end before we're actually showing houses, meaning we need to take a quick look at comps if we don't know the area really well and just have an idea like, hey, is this house priced like somewhat realistically? Again, I'm not telling you to do like a whole CMA and have a bunch of printouts for these people, but we need to know like, okay, is this house underpriced? Is it overpriced? Is it right in line? Because your clients are going to ask you those questions. And of course, we can say, that's a great question. Let me go do my research, which is a totally acceptable answer. But if we can say, yeah, I actually know this neighborhood really, really well. It looks to be, pretty much right on target, but let me run numbers to confirm, right? Have at least somewhat of an idea of the value of the house and take 2 seconds and just take a quick look at the disclosures. And you don't have to memorize them. It doesn't need to be anything crazy, but like, guys, make sure there wasn't a fire or a flood or a crap ton of water damage or whatever it is. And we know that those things aren't always deal breakers, but they could be, right? But if we know it going in and we can see our clients falling in love with a house, we can easily say, hey, yeah, by the way, I checked out the disclosures. It looked like this happened in 2015, but it was remediated. Again, it just makes us look like we're prepared. It makes us look like the expert. And guys, buyers will take your advice and they will write winning offers if you're knowledgeable and confident. And we have to strike while the iron's hot, right? Like we know that if a buyer looks at a house at 5 o'clock on Friday, if we wait until Sunday at noon, they're probably not as excited about it anymore, right? So that's why we need to be having the conversations with the listing agent and doing a little bit of homework, which again, I know can seem tedious on the front end before we go in. So it sounds like we know what the heck we're talking about. So let's say that our clients, now we're going to talk about really over communicating with the co-op agent. Let's say our clients really, really love the house. A lot of times when that happens, agents go on with their day, they show the rest of the houses, they talk to their client, they write the offer, and then they shoot the agent a text and say, hey, I just wrote you an offer on this. Agent had no idea it was coming, right? So as soon as we leave the house, hey, we absolutely love the house. And then we start asking the good questions, which a lot of us are afraid to ask. And guys, I can't tell you how many times a week all I have to do is ask what I need to do, and agents will tell you. Most agents do 2 to 4 deals a year, so they want to get the deal done too, right? But we get so nervous because we're afraid that they're not going to tell us or we're going to feel uncomfortable that we just don't ask the right questions. Every single time I talk to a co-op agent, what do you have in hand? What do the sellers need? My favorite question, where do we need to be to win? Yes, we're going to have those agents that are like, well, I can't tell you that, which to be very clear, there is nothing anywhere that says they cannot tell us where we need to be to win. However, but I ask the question every single time. And guys, 9 times out of 10, they'll just tell you if you ask the question. But I talk to agents all the time where I'm like, okay, what'd the co-op agent say? And they say, well, the listing agent said they had 5 offers. Okay. Are they over asking, under asking? Where are they at? And the answer is, I don't know. And it's just because we're afraid to ask the question.
So that's always blown my mind, Jamie, is because to me, common sense wins, right? And so if I'm the listing agent and the buyer's agent, and my job is to be able to do and get the best outcome for my client. If I'm the buyer's agent, I probably already have or know or should know in correspondence with the lender what their maximum budget is, right? So if they're if they got some wiggle room or if they're at the top, like wouldn't it behoove you as the buyer's agent to not string along time or whatever to find out, hey, if we do have multiple offers in hand, is it already above where my client wants to be? And if so, cool, good luck, God bless. Here you go. Now, if you're the listing agent and you already answered it, because that was going to be my big question, like where in the rules does it say that you can't tell them where you're at as offers? Like that's not illegal, right?
It's not.
Okay.
No.
So if you're the listing agent and your goal is to be able to sell the home for the most net profit, like adequately for your client, if you had to offer, let's say it's 310, and maybe they want this other person's prepared to pay 315, but you don't tell them, couldn't you have just lost 5 grand for your seller?
Literally. Yeah.
Wild. Okay. I
Yeah.
just, for me, that always just kind of seemed like why are we not on the same team? Like
Right.
y'all are really trying to do, like I'm trying to give you money that my client's comfortable doing, and you're trying to get more money for your seller. So where are we at? Like why are we trying to keep this big secret? Do you think it's ego? Do you think it's ignorance? Like what is it?
I think it's both.
Okay, fair,
I
fair
think
enough.
it's ego. I mean, honestly, I think it's both. Yeah.
Okay. Couple more really quick questions. So, and I know we could go on, and I'd love to have you on again, but I want to keep this quick too, because I would actually
Yep.
like to maybe go on and talk about sellers, because you work with sellers or listing agents as well, right?
I do. Yep.
Okay, awesome. So maybe we'll do that as a follow-up. But you mentioned one really important thing that I've been seeing with a lot of my buyers that are pre-approved, and it's starting to kind of be a thing where there's going to be starting to be more multiple offers, right? And especially as we head into the spring, it's forecasted that rates are going to kind of continue to start to trickle down a little bit. So that might get some more buyers off the bench or some sellers that wanted to sell because they're not having to swallow a 7% interest rate. In multiple offer situations, what do you say, or what would you say you think is probably the best expectation setter comment question, like conversation to have with those buyers? Like, okay, hey, listen, this is a really popular area. Be prepared. To maybe do an appraisal guarantee, or maybe be prepared to take on some of the seller's fees, or whatever it is, right? But like, what would you say is a good way for buyers agents who maybe haven't, maybe they just got licensed in the last year or two and they haven't experienced that uber like competitive market like we had 21, 22?
Yeah.
What would you say to them?
So if I'm in the initial stages with them and we're not like physically writing the offer, we haven't fell in love with a house, my conversation is always very similar with every client. And it's, listen, we haven't had a lot of inventory for a very long time. So if you fall in love with the house, there's a really, really good chance that three, five, seven other people are going to fall in love with the same house. So there's going to be times where we're going to have to get creative and come up with ideas to make us stand out. Just know that my job is to A, make sure I win you the house, but B, protect you and make sure that you're not overpaying for a house. So just know I'm always going to have your best interest in mind. And there's going to be times where I'm going to recommend things that might be uncomfortable. And that doesn't mean that you have to do them, but I'm always going to tell you in my professional experience what you need to do to win. So then
Gotcha.
they know when I'm like, hey, here's where we're at. There's 10 offers. This is what we got to do. They knew that it was coming. They don't have to do it, but they knew it was coming.
Yeah, yeah, just give them the opportunity to know what they have to do and give them enough education and power to be able to make their own decision with your professional input, right?
Exactly.
Awesome.
Yep.
Is there anything else before we kick off here that you would want to impart, see, talk about, like kind of one last hey, this is how you can reach me. This is what I do. Like anything at all that you would like to kind of impart on those that might take a couple minutes to watch this about yourself, your company, and then just the market and stuff as well.
Yeah. So, like we said, I have a couple different areas in my business. So, I offer coaching, I offer consulting, and then we offer transaction coordination. Like I said jokingly, but like on steroids, meaning we do a lot of the high level communication and crossing of the T's and dotting of the I's to make sure that you guys can really just focus on going to find the next client. So, if you guys have questions about what that looks like or what we do, call me, text me, DM me. I'm always here.
Love it. Awesome. Well, I can speak personally and vouch for you professionally at what an amazing job you do. There are a lot of transaction coordinators and negotiators and stuff in this industry, but none of which, operate as at a high level as you do, carrying a lot of the torches that you do and getting shit done for your clients. So I love working with you. We're going to drop a bomb here sometime in the very near future about us working together that's going to benefit mutual clients in the future, which I'm excited to be able to explore and get with you on that one. But for the time being, I appreciate your time. Thank you for the information, and we'll have you on again sometime to maybe talk about the listing side once things kind of start heating up over there too.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks,
Cool.
guys.
Thanks, bud. Have a great rest of your day. Take care, everybody.
Bye.